man, just sit there and shut up. This ain't no democracy.
Yes, it is.
No, it ain't. This is the United States. Your ass belong to me. They don't give a damn about you. They don't like you. I don't like you. Nobody likes you.
Who is the president? Who is the president? Again, this is not a question of which warm body occupies 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This is a question of who do we represent as a nation? How do we, as people, choose our leaders? What movement, what momentum, what energy, what vibe, what personification of America do we wish to have representing us? An old man who clearly has way too much estrogen in his diet and has man boobs? Please put your coffee down or your breakfast if you're eating it. You're not gonna like it. I'm gonna show you this. Okay, he looks like he looked like a beached dead carp, is what this looks like. Skeletal. There it is. My God, there it is. Is that what you want representing this country? Look at that. Solid C cup. Ugh. Ugh. Man, all the plastic hair and the plastic teeth. No, that's not it, baby. That's not it. That's not where the energy is. That's not us. That's not this nation. We can do better. And you know what? It's not just you who believes that. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, there is a concerted effort currently, in this very moment, from all aspects of this nation, including the elements of this nation that have propped up this regime and that old estrogen-filled man, that old diseased fossil. They have begun to turn on that man, realizing, of course, not because they have had some type of moral clarity strike them, but because they've realized that that old diseased fossil cannot win against Trump, against our energy, against the energy of the people. That there's only so much breaking of our systems. There's only so much bending that you can do. There's only so much rigging that you can do in our system to prevent a man like Donald Trump from winning the presidency again. And so they are in panic mode. And this is what panic mode looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Times published this article this weekend. It's 7 grandkids, Mr. President, excoriating Joe Biden for his abuse of his granddaughter. This is not an illegitimate granddaughter. This is a biological granddaughter. Navy Joan Roberts is her name. She lives in Arkansas. And I have a little piece of advice for the Trump campaign. I am close with people in Trump world. I have a lot of friends. Trump's former digital director was in visiting the show last week. I'm not an advisor. I don't get paid or anything. I'm not like an advisor. I don't have any of it. This is my official job, okay? I don't have any official job with Trump, okay? I have a piece of advice for Donald Trump as it pertains to the debates that presumably Donald Trump, were all the polls to be correct, and Donald Trump will cruise through the Republican primary process here. If the polls are indeed correct, then I have a piece of advice for Donald Trump. When you take the stage with Joe Biden, a man who has refused to acknowledge the existence of his own grandchild, a man whose entire persona that we are about to destroy here, his entire persona, and wait till we get the Axios piece about how Joe Biden rages and screams and yells at staff, how he physically and mentally humiliates and abuses and verbally abuses them. Wait till we get to that article. We ain't there yet. Oh, and The Atlantic is straight up calling for Joe Biden's resignation. I'll get you that article. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has refused to acknowledge his granddaughter. This was a child that Hunter Biden sired. He's refused to acknowledge this beautiful girl. Do you know that the Bidens put up a stocking for their dog and not for this beautiful child of God? Regardless of what a degenerate piece of filth the father happens to be? That this child is a child of God and deserves to have acknowledgement of her existence from her grandparents, who are Jill and Joe Biden, whose entire marriage, by the way, is a scam. I cannot repeat it enough. Jill was the babysitter. Joe Biden was married. Jill Biden was married. They cheated on their spouses with each other. That's how their relationship got started. Don't believe any of this happy horse crap. These are all lies. My entire wife's side of the family is in Delaware. Everyone knows this. Wicked. Hunter Biden's out-of-wedlock daughter kept off of White House Christmas display. They'll put up a stocking for the dog, but not for the child. Just letting you know who these people are. It is important to let America know, because the carefully crafted facade that Joe Biden is some sweet, tender, kindly old grandfather, no, don't work. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Times is saying its 7 grandchildren, Mr. President, turning on Joe Biden and one of his most vulnerable positions. And this is a vulnerable position because it shows what a deep, cretinous monster he actually is. Cheat on his own children's mom with the babysitter. That's the kind of man that Joe Biden is. All right? So let me make a piece of advice to Donald Trump, just very quickly here. Donald Trump, when you're on the stage with Joe Biden and you're debating him once more, all right, here's what you do. You put Navy Joan Roberts and her beautiful mother in the front row. No one will be able to stop what's coming. You say, Joe Biden, I want you to take a moment here and meet someone who's very special to me. It's your granddaughter, Joe. You bring this beautiful child up on stage with you. You bring this beautiful child up on stage. Donald Trump, hold her. Pick her up. Hold her up for all the kids to see. Trump's done this before at events. Hold up that beautiful granddaughter. Hold this girl up and say, hey, Joe, I want you to meet your granddaughter. You've never met her. You don't even acknowledge her existence. This is Navy Joan Roberts. She's your biological granddaughter. Joe, would you like to say hi to her? You put up a stocking for the dog, Joe, but not for her. Man, Donald Trump would win 40 states if he did that. And this sweet girl, well, not doxing anyone. This is a publicly available photograph. Obviously, the family's been photographed in and out of the courtroom. We love this girl. We love we love these children. We want them to be acknowledged and respected. The disease, the real monsters are the Bidens. We want this child to get alimony. We want this child to have respect and decency. And that's what Donald Trump should do. Hold this girl up and look Joe Biden in the eye and go, hey, Joe, you have anything to say to the granddaughter that you refuse to acknowledge? And watch Joe Biden probably have a stroke. What do you think? What do you think? What would Joe Biden do? You can see what Joe Biden does when he meets other people's kids. Boy, Joe Biden doesn't have any problem being cozy and comfortable with other people's kids, just not his own granddaughter, you see. Just not his own granddaughter. Joe Biden's nothing but touchy-feely, sniffy with random babies. Like this creepy clip that surfaced this weekend from an event on Friday happened after the show, so we couldn't play it for you. Watch.
Let me whisper a secret. AJ, look there. Don't tell mommy what I told you. Yeah. You got it?
I'm recording.
Oh, you're recording.
Got it. So when you see Joe Biden with his cell phone on the beach, yeah, just know that's Joe Biden just getting locked out of his account. Joe Biden doesn't have any clue how the cell phone works. Joe Biden leans in to sniff and to intrude and to engage in. I'll say it. This is what the Benny Brigade is for. Okay, I'll say it. Predator behavior with these children. Predatory behavior with these children. Joe Biden has no problem sniffing, grabbing hold of any other kid, except for his own granddaughter, who he refuses to acknowledge. So Donald Trump, piece of advice from me, via the New York Times, which published this article, and they deserve great credit for it. The headline of the article, again, we'll pop it up. Please go read it. I'll never tell you to go read the New York Times. You should read this article. It's 7 grandchildren, Mr. President. Devastating. Devastating article. Devastating. A line from the article. The president's cold shoulder and heart is counter every message that he sent for decades and is out of sync with the America he wants to lead. Yikes. Oh, man. Oh, man. They're calling this old, diseased cretin, this old bastard out. Good for them. And Donald Trump should do it too, to his face. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Donald Trump should do in part. Look at how great Trump is with little kids like this on the campaign trail. A glorious clip from the archives. Watch.
Do you want to go back? Do you want to go back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Trump.
Isn't that great? Just great. Just amazing. Just amazing, ladies and gentlemen. So Joe Biden is getting it from all sides. It doesn't stop at the New York Times. It continues from this morning. Old Yeller, Biden's private fury from Axios. Ooh, man, this one's great. In public, President Biden likes to whisper to make a point. Joe Biden always whispering creepily into the microphone. In private, he's prone to yelling. Behind closed doors, Biden is such a quick trigger temper that some aides try and avoid meeting with him alone. Some take a colleague as a shield against a solo blast. The president's admonitions include, GD, how the F don't you know this? Don't effing BS me. I have to censor myself on this show. I try as hard as I can not to curse. I've been prone to curse as well, but hey, let me tell you what. There's a family show, okay? Everybody has their own things to deal with. I do not curse on this show. I try as hard as I can. Get the F out of here. It's going to be hard to read this article on this show. We try to do a family show. We also, obviously don't want to drop a bunch of F-bombs or a bunch of GDs or a bunch of BSs on the show. According to current and former Biden aides who have witnessed and been on the receiving end of such outbursts, why it matters? The private eruptions paint a more complicated picture of Biden as a manager and president than his carefully cultivated image of a kindly old uncle who loves aviator sunglasses and ice cream. Some Biden aides think the president would be better off to occasionally display his temper in public. Oh, really? Zoom in. Senior and low-level aides alike can be in Biden's line of fire. No one is safe, said administrative officials. What? There is no question that Biden's temper is for real. It may not be as volcanic as Bill Clinton's, but it's definitely there, says Chris Whipple, author of Fight of His Life Inside Joe Biden's White House. Wow. Joe Biden's temper comes off as a form of angry interrogations rather than erratic tantrums. He grills aides on topics until it's clear they don't know the answer to the question, or routinely snaps at people, stump the chump or stump the dummy. Biden yelled at by the president, being yelled at, by the president, has become an internal initiation ceremony at the White House, aides say. If Biden doesn't yell at you, it could be a sign he doesn't respect you. Oh, interesting. Well, let's have a look. Have we seen these momentary outbursts before? Yeah, we absolutely have. Joe Biden dropped the F-bomb on camera before. Joe Biden has called Fox News' Peter Doocy, who I would contend is one of the best reporters in America, a stupid son of a on camera. How am I saying it? I don't want to swear on the show. I just got to say it because that's what the man said. Go.
Will you take President Biden's picture back? Do you think you place this in political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a...
Yeah, what a stupid son of a... Joe Biden says. Okay, so maybe that's all we got for this weekend. Maybe that's it, right? Wrong. In fact, The Atlantic, which is the most left, it's owned by Steve Jobs' hyper-liberal Democrat super donor widow, run by the most pretentious left-wing elites in the country, The Atlantic. You probably never read it because they have never published anything worth reading, nothing that would appeal to you, nothing that is populist, nothing that anyone would really care about, except for the billionaire class that prints articles in The Atlantic in order to talk to other billionaires. That's what The Atlantic is for. Yo, they just published an article saying, you got to get out of here. I cannot believe it. Talk about a hat trick against Joe Biden. Step aside, Joe Biden. The president has no business running for office at the age of 80. Holy smokes. Ladies and gentlemen, rip your face off. Rip your face off. Joe Biden has no business running. I'll just read you a really short passage here. Joe Biden has no business running for president at 80. I say this with considerable feelings being in my late 60s, knowing that my 70s are not far off. But I know that at this stage, I do not have the energy I had a decade ago. I forget more things. And if my body does not hurt when I wake up in the mornings, a little voice in my head asks whether I am dead or don't know it yet. They go off on Joe Biden as effectively being too old. Joe Biden is 80. If he gets reelected, he'll be 86 by the time his term expires. He will have spent at the end of that time, nearly half a century as a senator, vice president, or president. Positions all calculated to inflate one's self-image. As president, he has surrounded himself with former age and dutiful technocrats, no peers who can look him straight in the eye and say, gravitas, born of experience and self-confidence, Mr. President, I profoundly disagree. This is particularly striking now. And then they go on and destroy Vice President Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, Vice President Kamala Harris, who has the resume, but seemingly not the political skills or heft to be a compelling presidential candidate, is a weak backfill. Moreover, if history is any guide, an ailing, declining president does not simply say, "You're right, Doc, it's time for me to hand over the reins to the V." Yikes. They're turning on him. They are turning on him. The organs have decided that Joe Biden has got to go.